Hey guys, hope you are having a fantastic morning. Today I have a story to tell you, a story of how a billion-dollar housing bet upended an entire neighborhood in Tennessee. The following story comes to you by the great due diligence, research and journalistic integrity of Spencer Woodman, Margot Gibbs and Peter Horisky at the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. Further investigation into the Pandora Papers have shed light into how Wall Street is plans on using foreclosures, stressing suburbs around the globe and tenants awake at night from the stress. This is going to be the first half of a two-episodic miniseries that will expose these mongrels trying to rob the American people from home ownership. The never-resting eye of Wall Street looms every waking hour, never forfeiting a second without scouring for new opportunities to turn your world into hell for the sake of a profit, no matter how small it is. Before we start, let me quickly state that I am not a financial advisor, and that all content discussed in this channel is simply information gathered that I deem important for people to know, so that they can make informed decisions. All efforts are aimed to better understand the nature of the current market in anticipation of the greatest squeeze in financial history. Let's get started. Modest were the homes built around 15 years ago for families in suburban Nashville. They were built to be priced below $200,000, to be affordable to families of all walks of life. Clad in vinyl sidings and modest in size, the houses were bought by correction officers and housekeepers alike. But the seemingly normal life outlook for Americans is ending, soon to be relegated to the books of history. Over the last 6 years, the world's wealthiest members have been pouring in, and that is not small conjecture. In Tammy Sue Lane, out of the 39 houses in the street, 19 have been purchased by billion-dollar investment ventures. Progress Residential, a company we have talked about in the past, has been tapping at every available opportunity to rob Americans of home ownership. Less than 10 years old, this company already amasses one of the nation's largest single-family house portfolios, their malignant nature and goal forcing people into renting. This company, according to research done by the fine folk at ICIJ, acquires more than 2,000 houses per month through a computerized property search algorithm and rapid cash offers. Their efficient practice is so effective it honestly grants admiration, even by the likes of people like me. Their executives boast their success, as forcing thousands and soon to be millions of people into a spinning wheel of renting and almost impossible odds of getting out are making them richer than ever imagined. But the story of their success is not only tainted by their intent on purchasing homes, but the pricing scheme model by which they continually price up substantial profits for wealthy investors by hiking up rent prices, shoddy maintenance and excessive fees. Interviews of renters on Tammy Sue Lane show just how dehumanized the whole experience is. Victoria Bates, a warehouse worker, talked about how Progress Residential consistently fails to fulfill ordinary maintenance requests. Victoria said it often takes months for the company to even send someone to repair a leak or water heater. These kinds of complaints are very well documented, though the company loves to say they address issues within 5 days, a lie in my opinion. Meanwhile, they also love to engage in producing fees that take advantage of people. Progress Residential defends their operations, saying that rents and fees are all in line with industry standards and market rates, the same excuse every corporation uses to distance themselves from any wrongdoing and possible litigation, never for once subjecting themselves to be held accountable. So, who is behind this corporation that seems so inclined to bring misery to everyone, you might ask? Well, that would be no other than Pradium Partners, a New York investment firm whose plans for the future were actually leaked in the Pandora Papers. I am glad that for once, we know exactly with certainty what awaits the housing market for America. Their majestic plan, according to their financiers, is to rack up tens of thousands of similar properties at depressed prices so that they can rent them to families who have actually lost their homes. They will exercise their power and take leverage of recent right-hand lending practices, which blocks people from being able to qualify for mortgages. Wall Street invested in politicians who introduced all these tight regulations against the common folk, and now they intend to move on to phase 2 of their master plan, which is picking up people after they are kicked out, pricing rents so high so as to make it impossible for the majority to be able to save enough to compete and eventually move out and buy. According to the pitch memo, they said, and I quote, "The venture would capitalize on the severe distress in the residential real estate market in the United States." Pradium Partners have been raising money for the project, sending confidential invitations to people wealthy enough to make a minimum investment of $2 million. Executives projected that annualized returns will be between 15 to 20%, at least according to a 238-page solicitation that was given to investors. As a result of this, they raised $1 billion, and Progress Residential was born as their real estate venture. Those that have reportedly profited so far, according to the leaked documents, was a Cayman Islands trust that is funded by a Canadian that is an heir to the billion-dollar Seagram Spirits fortune named Stephen Bronfman. Another person who largely profited from this is Vikrant Bhargava, who co-founded an online gambling company valued at $8.5 billion. You see, many of the investors in Pradium are foreign, and the company has gone to great lengths to make legal arrangements that would limit their exposure to taxes. That's right, they get to rob generations of housing and simultaneously pocket most if not all the money instead of putting it back in circulation. Taxes really are for the poor and middle class in this country. An interesting part of the documents leaked was that an outsized share was earmarked for Donald R. Mullen Jr., who was the founder and chief executive of Pradium Partners. He belongs to powerful circles, especially after spending many years working for Goldman Sachs, where he oversaw the firm's lucrative bet against housing and mortgage markets ahead of the 2008 crisis. This strategy that he implemented, called the Big Short, allowed Goldman Sachs to make some good profits as they crippled the economy and plummeted the markets. Mullen, being the smart man that he is, bet that houses would increase in value, at least the ones he researched to buy. By 2019, his ventures had nearly doubled his investors' equity. As you might imagine, Wall Street and friends have been incredibly happy with the result, but not the people living in the Sunbelt subdivisions where Progress Residential devour all the housing supply, outbidding thousands. Funny enough, the county we talked about, Tammy Sue Lane, ranked as the 5th least affordable county in the United States for homebuyers when considering the wages in the area. The country property assessor is now saying that 1 in 10 homers is now owned by a real estate investment trust, and that they are hiking up the prices at incredibly fast rates. The ventures are quote-unquote, equity mining communities, removing generational wealth from an entire demographic of people. You want to start a family and buy a house? Too bad, Wall Street said no. Funny enough, Progress Residential has already started evicting tenants left and right, an important step in how this new business model operates, and one which we have talked before on this channel. The evictions are so out of control even Congress is investigating Progress and other major rental firms. We have seen more than 3,000 people across the nation join a Facebook group for tenants called Victims of Progress Residential. Furthermore, according to data, recent year eviction filings appeared to have targeted more heavily on majority black communities, and it's so obvious that Senator Sherrod Brown in Ohio has publicly questioned Progressive as to what exactly is going on. People interviewed gave their opinions, talking about how they are preying on people, and using any excuse available, such as being late on rent, to quickly file an eviction notice and charge them a related fee sometimes worth hundreds of dollars even after the person paid up. The houses they rent do not receive adequate maintenance, and people often talk about problems such as air conditioning units freezing or plumbing issues which never get fixed. They call, but the company's customer service can sometimes take hours to answer, if they answer at all, and even when they are notified of the problems, they just opt to ignore them. In Tammy Sue Lane, rent for some houses are upwards of $2,000 per month, which is absolutely ridiculous. This is over 30% from back in 2016. The ICIJ actually contacted Pradium Partners, and to nobody's surprise, they said that they treat tenants fairly and promptly respond to their complaints. They said people complaining constitute a very small portion of its 200,000 residents, but a quick look through social media groups will show a growing large number of people complaining and exposing the shady practices by the firm. They reiterated Pradium's supposed commitment to providing high-quality, affordable housing and dependable service for households that choose to rent. Everything about this sentence is wrong, beginning with the wording they used when they said people choose to rent, as if there is any other choice. You have to be super rich already if you want to own a home. Their dependable service is already in question. Affordable renting prices is questionable, because there is no excuse that justifies rent going over 30% in 5 years in that area, and the high-quality homes are not high quality. Remember, these houses were built a couple years back to be affordable for middle-class families, houses that were worth under $200,000 at the time. Everything in Pradium's statement is a lie, and it's incredibly telling of the type of company they are. I think this is a good spot to finish the video. The other half will be out tomorrow. Let me know in the comments what you think, and what your experience has been if you have rented from Pradium Residential or a similar firm. That's all I have for this morning video. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to the folk at ICIJ for their incredible research and strong will to expose these criminals. If you want to support this channel, I have a Patreon link in the description as well as some one-time donation links for Cash App and PayPal. Thank you again for being a part of this channel. I will continue striving for better content. Hope you keep having a great day, and I hope to see you later today on the recap video. Until then, keep on buying the dip into the moon.